Hi, this is Ziggy Berkeley, and you are listening to yet another awesome podcast on the Four-Eyed Radio Network. And hey, when you're done here, if you like James Bond 007, why not check out my podcast, Her Majesty's Secret Podcast, with new episodes dropping every other Monday on The Fern. And if you're really into James Bond, you can enter the Dial-A-Henchman contest. Want to know more? Go to hermajestyspod.com/contest, and you could win something from the James Bond 007 universe. Meanwhile, enjoy the show.
Hey there, Eric here from Socially Awkward Studios, and this Four-Eyed Radio presentation is being proudly brought to you by Raven Designs, illustration and design that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, visit ravencruise.com.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff, and I don't have notes. I just want to talk about NAB and my film history.
Hey, and this is Steve, and I watched 2 movies with subtitles this week.
Welcome to the 12A Podcast, where you're going to learn about movies, entertainment, and a lot of other cool stuff. And now, here are 2 guys who turned doing taxes into a drinking game, Jeff and Steve.
An appropriate intro. Yeah. Woohoo! Steve, did you get your taxes turned in?
I did, and I mailed our LLC taxes today.
Oh.
It is the 15th, so they got postmarked and everything right, so we're good.
I thought you filed a month ago.
No, the state ones you had to mail in, couldn't e-file them or anything for LLCs, so, and I'm a procrastinator at most. Well, and I had to write a check to the federal government, and so I feel like I always should just put that off to the last minute. Personal. Right. So, yeah, so it was one of those. Yeah, screw you, government.
Gone.
Boom.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Carly, did you get all your taxes?
In January.
I figured.
Yeah. Of course.
A-type personality.
Kyle?
Steve, wow.
Steve.
We just had a falling
out. Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden there goes a sound guy. Somebody just got his ass muted, Jeff.
Yeah. You have one of those things where you're just like, I should just leave now. There's no recovering from
and
that.
we just started.
I apologize.
Yeah, I did that a while. I finally just got my check from state, because the same thing. It's like, you want to e-file this? I'm like, why should I pay you $20 when I want it all back?
Right.
No,
Yes.
thanks.
No. So anyways, we got to work out this whole Carly thing. She's here for the second episode. We got to get an intro with 3 in here. I feel like we're still pushing her to the side.
Steve. And Carly.
And Carly. You could just add that. You could just be like a real quick recording of and Carly.
Yeah.
The end.
Okay, well, good. As long as you're okay with
Yes,
that,
I'm fine with
that'll make it a lot easier for us, actually. So
All in
thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Look, we can move on.
So,
now
did you have a fun time last time here on the show?
I did. I had a fabulous. It was great. It was great.
Good. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. We have a lot of cool stuff. I'm assuming, again, I have no notes. I know I want to talk about NAB, and I want to on the film history that I pimped last time, and I'm excited to hear Carly's new stuff, because she what?
Yes, indeed. I have new stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, and she's got new stuff, and we have a little bit, and I don't know where we're going to go with this, because Carly and I talked about a new segment, and I don't have a sound intro. A couple of notes, and you'll see, Jeff. It should be interesting. We're slowly taking over.
Okay.
No, we're not.
So maybe I should have just left.
No.
Yeah, okay.
It's not the same without you. You smell so good tonight.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Delicious, might I add.
Delicious.
Just like a fresh shower. I don't know how that's delicious, but it is.
It's tasty.
Well, good. I'm glad you got something going.
We have a lot to talk about. We should probably just move on with this.
Indeed.
Who wants to start? Should we just start off with some news here and see what Carly's got for us prepared?
Why the hell not? Yeah, I don't have any intro for you. So
okay.
Here's Carly!
And the news.
Okay, all right. I'm not doing BC news, correct? We're doing that surprise later?
No. We'll do that later.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And I changed mine up to a JGL.
Oh, interesting.
We're gonna compete. We're gonna compete here, and I think we're gonna compete, and we should. For this one, I'm gonna see. We'll have Jeff choose a favorite.
I think you should too. I agree with that. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go on. I saw 3 movies this week, the last 2 weeks.
Like streamed, like theater, like. How did you consume this?
On combination of purchasing on Cox Demand and Netflix.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So,
Right.
first one is the worst one, so I'm gonna just go out with that. I saw the Jump Street movie.
21 Jump Street?
I saw it.
You didn't like it?
I didn't. I thought,
okay,
I saw the film. It really has some very humorous scenes that I laughed out loud about. I'm not going to lie. But overall, I call it kind of cheesy, and I gave it 1.5 stars out of 5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of picky about my humor.
So if you laughed, what are the downsides?
I overall rated I rated overall on the whole story and how I felt about it overall. Just because I laughed doesn't mean it's awesome. I'm like, oh man, I laughed one time, 5 stars out the door, you know?
Right. So what are the downsides? So laughing.
I felt like it was I felt like they kind of tried a little too hard in the acting part, because I feel like both those lead guys are pretty decent actors, and I just kind of felt like they pushed it a little bit. Okay. I feel like they were trying to
try too hard.
Yeah, it was like, you know, like Step Brothers is so stupidly hilarious, but you expect that from them, and I feel like they were trying to be a duo like that. I don't know. But again, it's just an opinion of a female. Who cares about female opinions? Okay, moving on.
We have that on record, right?
Yeah. Okay, good. Moving on. I saw
a sound drop.
See, this is where sound effects would be awesome. Okay, I saw August Osage County.
Okay.
Anyone see that yet?
No, we're guys, but go ahead.
We're guys.
Okay, well, I know it's very white of me to say, but man, Meryl Streep was awesome. She was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing actress. Julia, obviously, as well. But I have to say, my man, Benedict Cumberbatch, was in it, so of course I was extra excited to see this. He has a small part. And I'm one of those people that are pretty negative, and I always look for him, like, he has an English accent, and he's supposed to have a Southern accent in this movie, so I looked for mistakes. Right. And, you know, I didn't really find any, except for when he was singing to his cousin on the piano. I could sort of hear the English accent, but I don't think anyone else could, you know, hear that.
Overall, about your men.
Well, I with accents I am, especially if you're playing a character that has a different accent than what your natural one is. Okay. Overall, I gave this 3.5 stars out of 5.
Okay. Despite your man and his small parts in the movie,
and the
a
whiteness,
man with small parts,
or the small parts.
All right, so your top movie
was actually American Hustle.
All right.
Oh, yeah, good. Okay.
You know, I finally saw this one. It was surprisingly more of a dialogue movie, which I did not expect from the previews and everything, but I love dialogue movies. I don't think a lot of people like that. I feel like there's a huge audience out there that just wants action, sex, crazy costumes, good scores, and sometimes the dialogue might be way more interesting.
Yeah, I was just checkmarking that as you say. Crazy costumes, action, sex. You got me.
It's just that's too American for me. Like I like action-packed and big and loud sometimes, but come on, people, be less American, be more artsy. Anyway, overall, I gave it the same rating as August Osage, 3.5 out of 5.
But it still was a little bit better than August.
But it still was a little bit better, but I just didn't feel it deserved that half star, not even a 4th, because they're too different. It's hard to rate because they're two different films. Okay. So there's my first bit of streaming news. No, not streaming.
Okay, all right.
There you go. There's my reviews.
No, that's good. David O. Russell, he's on a streak. The last 3 movies that he's made have just been like crazy good. So Silver Linings Playbook and The Fighter. And then American Hustle. I mean, he's just on a roll. And what's great about him,
which unfortunately means he's going to drop at some point.
Yeah,
but that's right.
Something's going to happen. Yeah, something's going to happen.
Anybody remember M. Night Shyamalan? No.
No, we don't.
Nope.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
You really want rage tonight, don't you?
Trying to forget.
I have 2 trigger words: Midnight Shyamalan and Michael Bay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Well, the interesting thing about David O. Russell is and the reason I think so many character actors like to work with him is that's all he cares about. Like, he doesn't even care about plot. He just wants a movie with really good characters. And that's why I think he always has to write with a writer who cares about stuff like plot. Because all he cares about is good characters.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing to be proud of that. I mean, because it really affects the way you watch a movie when you can really connect or really believe or cry over somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, because the alternative to that, I was comparing this, I was talking to Shereen about this, I was comparing that to, like, The Walking Dead, where The Walking Dead, they created, like, really good characters, but the only thing that matters in The Walking Dead is the drama. And they will sacrifice characters if it means they can make it more dramatic. So you're constantly seeing points in The Walking Dead where characters are making decisions that they wouldn't normally make just to make things more dramatic.
I see.
Yeah.
And so, because you see patterns of, okay, this is who this character is. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do things in this way. And then all of a sudden they make a break, and there's constantly times where I'm like, he would not do that. Why is he breaking character?
I see.
Oh, because it makes
they
it
don't
more
care
dramatic.
about
and,
that. They care about the. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Pushing that envelope.
So,
That's interesting. I guess I've never seen Walking Dead, so but yeah, I know. Give me a look. My husband's really into it, but I need to. I want to watch House of Cards first. That's my first. Then I'll do maybe.
So you haven't even seen season 1 of House of Cards yet?
No,
then,
my husband has. I'm behind. I watch my own stuff. He watches his own
Is it just
stuff.
me, or am I hearing me and you guys lambasting
Whatever.
me for not
No.
watching the
Sherlock? That's
Sherlock?
what he thinks.
That's
Oh,
all I'm hearing.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's different.
Yeah.
You can't do
No,
it.
it's the same thing. You haven't seen Walking Dead yet? Oh my gosh!
You
drop
haven't
what
seen
you're
House of
doing.
Cards
Oh my
yet?
gosh! You should watch it.
Okay, but Sherlock's been around for way longer. Way longer.
And that justifies.
It does, totally.
no.
Done.
Okay. All right, next.
Next.
Jeff smells better.
He does. Damn, you smell so good tonight.
Which doesn't translate to radio, unfortunately.
I know, damn it.
No.
Can we send a smell? Go ahead and send the smell through.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna work on smell listening.
Smell listening.
Smell
smells.
smell
Do you
some-
want me to go into the show news I have?
Let's go right into the show news. Yes,
Okay.
let's do this.
So tonight at 10 p.m. on FX, I already DVR'd it. I am so excited for this bit. Like, you
Okay.
have no idea.
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
amazing. It's a
It
miniseries,
does.
right?
Yeah, so tonight on FX, 10 p.m. Tuesday, because tomorrow this is airing on Wednesday, there's a new series premiering called Fargo. This is based on a 1996 feature film, crime, dark comedy, drama. It has Martin Freeman, Billy Bob Thornton, Colin Hanks, Adam
names,
Goldberg. I mean, I can't wait for this show. Again, I DVR'd it, and I'm just to the moon about it. Like, I can't wait.
Awesome.
So that'll be a
Yeah.
review in the next 2 weeks. But
And so I'm assuming you're a big fan of the movie.
indeed.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of have to see it to, like,
Yeah.
really be excited about it. Otherwise, it'd be like, well, I don't get it.
Yeah, but it's great. All the big names that are in it. When I saw the
I know.
trailer for it, it might have been a month ago or so. I don't know, but in just all the names, I was like, oh man, they could have so much fun with
They
this
they
story
can,
and the town and so
I know, especially
so
the
good.
town.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna, because like Martin Freeman's in it, he has an English accent, so I really hope he has like a Minnesota like horrible, I really hope,
Right.
So we'll see. I'll let you know. Especially like Billy Bob Thornton. I mean, because he has that. I don't even know what to call his voice, but I'd sure like to hear him say, don't you know?
Don't you know what's
Wouldn't that be
there?
fun?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have a question for viewers or for you. Or viewers? No, listeners.
Listeners, not smellers. Listeners.
Okay, so I'm really in, and I may be the only one in this podcast that's really into period piece films, movies. Don't laugh.
I'm
I
laughing.
hear the
I'm
giggles.
laughing
I see the
because
face.
my second base for $1 is a period piece.
Yes. We didn't even plan
We didn't
that.
even plan that. So
Anyway, if anyone has any recommendations for period piece, whether it's shows, movies, I'm up for it. The only thing I'm currently watching is a show called Rain on the CW, and it's an American historical fiction series following early years of Mary, Queen of Scots, 1557 France, blah, blah, blah. Boring already to most people, but exactly. But I love it, and it's kind of cheesy, but I'm dying for any period piece movie or show. Game of Thrones, I don't have access to it because I don't have HBO, and then you already know.
what about the period pieces? Is it just it's
History
history is what it is?
History,
or,
but
okay.
I'm also, history, that's the first thing, okay? Second thing is, like, the costume, the amount of work that goes, like, I'm a behind-the-scenes gal,
right.
and so to me, I'm, like, just dumbfounded by the score, by the, oh my god, the costumes, and they have to stay on par with language. Like, you can't say fuck in a, 1557, because that word really, whatever, and maybe it has, I'm not historically,
I wasn't around
right.
then.
So,
Right.
but...
So if they were wrong, how could you argue with them?
As a historian. So anyway, if anyone has any, I'm sure you two don't, but
I do.
okay, I'm
Lord.
ready. Shoot.
It's not out yet, and I haven't seen it,
Okay.
but it's on my list of things to see because it was at the Phoenix Film Festival.
What?
And I was going to take Shireen to go see it, but unfortunately
Yeah,
I was
she's
at
into
NAB.
it like me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, she's totally into that stuff too. But we'd also like it because it's actually about a girl who is born into an elite family, but it was about this rich landowner who, it does it with a black girl, so he has a
Does
mix.
it with a black
Yeah.
girl.
Does it?
Mm.
He smells good.
He smelled good like Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they produce a
Thank
You're
you.
being as peachy as possible. It's awesome. I
They
love
produce. Go
it.
ahead.
Carly dropped an F-bomb
This
2
is not-
seconds ago, and you're trying to be as peachy as possible
So
about
this is
somebody
not like a
having
dynasty.
sex and having a baby.
dynasty.
This is not like a dynasty film. This is not like royalty. This is
Yes.
Oh, it is royalty
No, okay, so
with black folk.
Yeah, no, I get not royalty, but I upper class. What's the people at the top of the food chain who had the Downton
class
Abbeys
works,
and
yeah.
the right,
Okay.
the rich landowners who are lords and whatever,
Yes, okay,
right? So
okay.
wealthy.
Well, I'm
Those
interested in
people.
this. And do
And
you know
so-
what network it's on or what?
No, it's a
It's
movie.
a movie. Okay.
I played at the Phoenix Film Festival. It's called Belle,
Okay.
Belle.
Okay.
And so it's just about this girl and how she's growing up, and she's kind of torn between these two societies, and nobody really accepts her.
Okay.
So she's just kind of got to find her way.
Well, and she's also biracial, I'm assuming.
Right.
So that's also difficult.
Yeah, well,
because
that's
of that.
the
Is that the
two,
struggle?
Yeah, that's
That's
so, yeah, that's
why.
the struggle.
Got
Why
it.
you know she doesn't really fit into either one
Man,
of these
okay.
these
This
things.
is in. That
yeah.
would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wrote that down
Yeah,
because I
so-
write things down. I don't have a laptop in front of me.
So
Old school.
Old school.
yeah, so Belle,
journalist.
Belle. Yeah,
Got
so
it.
Belle,
Great.
that
Thank
played
you.
it,
Well,
so.
if anyone else has recommendations, I am.
Yeah,
up
we should
for
put that on Facebook. So it's
I
like Carly's-
actually am right now.
Okay.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to leave the Benedict Cumberbatch news till later when you tell me, because I also have
Okay.
pictures to pass out. And no, they are not of Benedict Cumberbatch.
What?
You
What does that have to
just
do with anything?
wait,
Oh my
you just
god.
wait.
Okay. Well,
Show
we
and
talked
tell.
about some movies and stuff like that. Jeff, did you Netflix anything this past couple of weeks? Or I got a couple of things on mine.
Yeah,
so-
I actually signed up for the free week of Hulu because Shereen and I thought we got caught up on Walking Dead, and so we thought the new season was on Hulu. No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
Yeah,
You gotta
bastards.
pay for
So,
it.
anyways,
Beach.
We watched this this almost nearly unwatchable program called Hulu, and I watched two shows. Gosh, do you guys watch Hulu?
Yeah.
Do you?
All the time. Yeah,
I
that's
don't-
that's the only way I stream TV right now.
Yeah,
is,
we used to
Hulu
have
and
it. We
Netflix.
recently stopped when we did our move, but
Mhm.
we're going to cook back up again in a couple weeks.
So the thing, like, so all right. So I'm used to Netflix. So getting
it's
used
different.
to, excuse me, getting used to commercials is irritating, but you deal with it, right?
Of
It's
course.
like, okay, all right.
Right.
I mean, it feels really weird to pay for something and watch advertisements,
I know.
but
but,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, so you deal with it. But the programming is so horrible, so that like they can't line up their cue markers. So like they'll go to a commercial and they'll start like the next chapter, but then they'll go to the commercial.
The commercial, yeah, it's like 2
Yes,
seconds. You
I
get a blow.
noticed. Yeah,
Yeah, and then they come back and they bloop again. And there's
No.
actually we got stuck in this infinite loop where you know what I'm talking
I
about?
do.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
happens
it's
to a lot of people where it
happened.
comes
It's
back
Not
from
all the time,
commercial
but
Oh, yeah.
yes.
and you watch
It's
like
happened.
2 minutes and then it goes back to the beginning and then you watch it and it goes back to the beginning again and it's like wow, it's
Mhm.
like I'm paying for this?
I know.
Yeah, I
But
don't
that doesn't always happen, by the
No,
way.
and I've only actually had it happen like once, but it was streaming on my Roku. I've never had it happen on my laptop or
Our
my
Roku,
tablet
too.
or anything
Really?
like that. It's just on my
Okay.
Roku that I've had it happen.
yeah,
so.
we had it too on a
Mhm.
Roku. You don't
Yeah.
have a Roku?
No, we were watching it on a Sony Blu-ray player.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because they also I noticed it's on my smart TV,
Mhm.
so I can just purchase
So
it.
some applications work
I
better.
think it's better,
probably.
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
hardware.
I think like they've really narrowed it down on the gaming systems. Like
Oh,
They
okay.
have.
Yeah,
So if
they
I
have-
watch it on my PS3, I'll
yeah, you probably have a better experience.
Okay.
Though I think Homer Simpson said it best. He's like, if I wanted to sign up and pay for something, I would have subscribed to Hulu Plus.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
So,
So
anyways.
yeah. So anyways, I watched Surviving Jack and the Goldbergs on that, and those are
Never heard
two
of that.
great. It's almost the same show. Like the Goldbergs is about growing up in the '80s.
Oh
and
yes. That's
Surviving
Surviving
Jack,
Jack
is
is
it
about growing
good? Because
up-
I
yeah.
I keep
Wait,
seeing
what
commercials
is
and I
Surviving Jack
so
about?
want to see it. It looks hilarious.
It's the guy
so.
from SVU.
SVU.
Okay.
And he's like a father. It takes place in 1990, which is really making me feel dated. When I'm
Yeah.
like, really?
And you're the
Whoa.
youngest one here.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You hear that, ladies? I'm young.
Yeah.
Yes.
How sad is that? That 1990 is a period piece.
I know. But yes,
It
I
is
have
not.
seen. I have seen
It
the
is
Goldbergs,
not.
and I just watched the first episode of Surviving Jack, and I was like, this is actually really good.
Yeah, and that character is
Okay.
what makes it. The dad, who's like this, he's this really rough. Like he's not going to sanitize anything. He's really just direct and to a cruel point many times. But he still loves his family, and so, you know, he does these absurd things to help his kids grow and stuff like that. And he's just really hard, and it's hilarious. It's very bizarre.
It's very different from his SVU character, is what it looks like. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, like his kid wants to make the varsity baseball team, so he like wakes him up and he's like
drilling him.
Yeah, drilling him and hosing him down and stuff like. But the kid's particular problem is that he can't, like, he gets scared too easily.
Oh.
So he spends the whole time like scaring the crap out of this kid,
God.
like just out of nowhere. And like he was running home one time and he was about to ask this girl out, and he interrupts and he steals a Gatorade from the son, and he gets too scared to ask the girl out. She walks away, and he's like, "Never mind, I can make it. I'm gonna forget it." And he runs off, and so now he's.
That's funny.
So yeah. Anyway, so this was really just off the wall stuff. So it's good.
But did you? Okay, so but that's a show, yes.
Yes.
So did you
Any
watch the
movies
entire?
or this whole season, or?
Well, it just started. I thought there was only like one episode, but
I
there
didn't
was
know
like
that.
3 or 4 of them, and
Yes.
so we watched all 3 or 4.
Okay.
of
I've
them.
only seen the first one, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they were all solid. They were all, it was
Cool.
consistent, so it was good. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Any movies, Jeff? You watching a movie?
I watched. No, that was a while ago. No, with NAB, I haven't had a chance. I've
Okay,
only had time
yeah.
for little things here
Okay.
and there. Yeah. Nothing streaming anyways.
Yeah, my Hulu watching is that's my TV shows. So it's Game of Thrones, but that's not Hulu. It's HBO. I'm up to par with the new season on that one. And then what else did I just? Walking Dead. I told you I'm gonna have to just buy, but luckily I've got plenty of Google Play money, so I'm just gonna have to buy the new season on that to watch it. Netflix though, Man of Tai Chi.
No.
Was what I watched.
Okay.
Kung
How
Fu
old
movie.
is this?
Okay.
Last year, directed by Keanu Reeves.
No
What?
way. Are you
Yes.
serious?
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
my husband would be so interested in this.
No, it was so it's totally got an interesting little backstory too. The guy who stars in it, his name is Tiger Chen, and he and Keanu Reeves are best friends. Tiger Chen is the one who taught him all his martial arts stuff for The Matrix.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
cool.
And so they're best friends, and he's working on that 47 Ronin. It's all in post production. It's been
right.
pushed off and everything, but he directed this entire movie in China and had his buddy Tiger Chen, and it's based loosely on like his life story, Tiger Chen's.
Okay.
But it's a great little kung fu movie. I mean, it's no amazing storyline or anything, but the martial arts is just gorgeous in it. It's not a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of craziness or anything. It's legit,
it's like real
real
martial
martial arts.
yes.
But Keanu Reeves does play a part in it, and it's great. He's just this badass. I mean, he kills people. He pretty much is running an underground fighting ring type of thing, and so he tricks the main character Tiger Chen to fight for him to the death and stuff in the end. And so it's really great.
Okay.
I truly
What's
enjoyed
it called again?
Man of Tai Chi is what it
that's
is.
pretty easy to remember.
So yeah, Tiger Chen, he's this Tai Chi, which is a very peaceful art form, and he's using it to fight people against his master's wish and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a pretty cool. But it's I mean
A
most
full 2 hours?
yeah, it is. Yeah,
Okay,
just
so
under
it's
2 hours, and
normal.
most of the movies in Cantonese, so it was a lot of subtitles type
Okay,
of things.
cool.
So some English in it, but yeah, mostly
But how was
subtitles.
Keanu Reeves in it? Because he's pretty much, I love him, but he's pretty much the same in every movie.
Well, and so he was.
'Cause he was a small part, I'm assuming. Well, no, sounds like a pretty good part. Hefty
This was
part.
one of the few movies where he wasn't tied to a chair having something be done to him, like in Johnny Mnemonic and Matrix and everything else. But no, he was pretty good. But he was not a big. He was. I mean, while he was the main bad guy in it, he
But it
it was
wasn't
more about
about
Tiger
him, is
Chen.
what
It
you're
wasn't
saying.
about
Right.
him.
Okay, got it.
But he plays a really good bad guy. I mean, like he kicked ass in it and broke some necks and stuff like that. So definitely made use of his martial arts. But he was more of a kind of a quiet guy, like on the couch, just like directing things. And so he didn't do a whole lot of acting. Didn't overtake it, even
That's
though his
good.
name's all over it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at the poster right now, and it looks like you look at the 2 people. It's Keanu Reeves and
It's like
Tiger
a
Chen.
joke.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and if you look at it from a distance, it kind of looks like old Keanu and new Keanu. 'Cause it's kind
I
of like the
see with
old
the
Keanu
hair.
with the long hair,
Long
and then
hair.
like the new Keanu with the short cut.
The short,
yeah.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah. No, that
That's
was
great.
it. So it was a good movie. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
if Carl's
Good
into
to
anything
know.
martial arts, like it was,
I'll
or
let
Keanu
Carl
Reeves,
know.
yeah, 'cause I love him.
Mr. Carl.
And then the other one, and I totally meant to watch a documentary, guys. I really did, and it's tagged in
Come
Netflix,
on,
but I
don't
didn't
let us
start it.
down.
I didn't start it. It's called Born Rich, though.
Cool.
Totally fascinating looking. It's a documentary by Jamie Johnson, who is an heir to the Johnson & Johnson fortune.
Cool.
Oh.
And it's an entire documentary did on the children of the insanely rich by somebody who is a child of the insanely rich.
Well,
and,
that'll
and
be
he-
interesting.
couple of the people that he interviewed, I don't remember their names, he tried suing him because they didn't want this movie to go out then after they agreed to do it at first, this whole documentary, and they're like, no, we don't actually want you to show that what we do and stuff. So,
but then since they're rich, they decided to sue.
Yeah, they decided to sue to try and stop it.
Because next time I'm washing my baby's butt with Johnson & Johnson, I want to think about all those things. Yes, so you need to report back.
I know.
That's your assignment.
I need to. So never gonna get around to a documentary.
I did watch a movie that was not available on streaming that I can find anywhere, but I checked it out from the library. But it's a movie I've wanted to see ever since film school.
Yeah, okay.
So I saw this movie, and what was so appealing to it, it starts off and it's so slow, but you're still super interested in what's going on. Mm-hmm. And it's this movie from 1975 with Jack Nicholson called The Passenger. Okay. Yes, The Passenger. Okay. So it starts off and there's almost no dialogue. He's in Chad. He's in the middle of the desert, and he's like following this. He meets some people somewhere, and they take him somewhere, and a kid takes him somewhere, and the kid takes him to the desert, and then he leaves him there, and then he waits for a camel, and then you see it like, and then his car breaks down like in the middle of the desert, like all this crazy stuff, and you're like, wait, what's he going after? And then he goes like he finally gives up and goes back to his hotel room, and then he finds like his neighbor in the hotel room dead, and he steals his identity to get out of there, and you're like, what's going on? Like, what's he getting away from?
And this is Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, this is Jack Nicholson.
Oh, I wonder if he's good looking in the 70s.
Yeah, and he's not playing like a loud mouth character.
Sure, that's
he's
what I'm
actually
thinking.
Very silent.
This is a good
and
drama.
Strong. Yeah. And what was really interesting to me is it was really like the pacing of the film was so great and refreshing because movies are so fast, and it's hard to do a slow movie and be that interested.
Yeah.
So I remember watching just the first like 15 minutes, whatever, in film school, and always being like, God, I gotta finish that movie.
Okay, so you finally.
So I finally finished it, and yeah, it kind of broke apart, like especially past the halfway point where they kind of don't. And that's actually how I ended up with a conversation with Shireen about the David O. Russell movies, because that guy didn't care at all about story and keeping the audience up to breast with what was going on at all, right? He didn't care about any of that. He just thought this was a cool character, and the cinematography was fantastic. In fact, there's this end shot, and it's one of those like end shots that just kind of dollies out and dollies back and kind of moves around, and there's a bunch of like really subtle things you can go back and watch it a couple times and pick up on things.
That's actually quite romantic.
And it's kind of cool if you learn a little bit about the film. It was made just before the Steadicam was invented, so they actually had to like mount a dolly to the roof and then like dolly through a gate, and then the gate like breaks open once they kind of get through it, and then they like unhooked it from the dolly while you can't see it and put it on a crane, and then like it was crazy.
Jeez.
Like it's a simple shot to do today, but to do back then it was like insane and probably took like a day to set up. And so anyways, it has a bunch of cool subtleties and stuff about pacing to kind of look at, and just the slowness and stillness and keeping people involved and asking questions but not losing them.
The Passenger.
Yeah, The Passenger, Jack Nicholson, 1975.
Passenger?
Yeah, it was done by this let's see.
That's interesting. I just want to know.
She just wants to know how he looks.
What does he look like?
I don't know what he'll smell like, but I'm gonna see what he looks like.
Michelangelo Antonia, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy. So he
1975. I'm tripping out over this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm intrigued. Oh, wait, okay, was it filmed in Chad? Do you know?
I don't. Well, it just starts off in Chad. I don't know if they filmed it there or not. But so it goes from Chad to England, which they shot in England, and then they went to Italy. And I know that they shot in Italy because.
So they might have actually shot in all those places.
And Tony, is Italian. In fact, he came from Rossellini, that kind of school. He actually worked with them.
Wow.
And like back in the day, like he was just starting and worked with Rossellini.
That is awesome.
So anyways, interesting.
So now I see why you watched this in film school, at least some of it.
Yeah.
That's making sense to me.
Yeah. So.
Jeff, would you like to jump into any film history or second base, or Carly and I are going to obsess?
My film history is going to be.
Is it long?
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that murder.
You're gonna get in the zone, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna get in the zone.
So are you gonna depress us with this? Do we not want to end on film history, or is this an uplifting murder?
It's suspenseful.
Suspense.
That's
Suspense.
exciting.
Remember?
That's
Okay, so
exciting.
remember the Thomas Einstein. Remember we talked about his murder
The
and
whole
how it was
mystery
this
around
big
it.
right? So it's another one of those, but this one is all about the cast of characters surrounding it.
Cool.
It's an unsolved mystery, so we'll kind of talk about all the things. And I got background music to kind of make it fun.
All right.
So,
really? All right.
Yeah,
Jump me up.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I got a lot to go into, but we'll make it fun. And
Okay.
theatrical if we can.
Okay.
All
Ooh,
right.
fancy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm ready for it. If you're ready for it for film history, I mean, unless you want to end us off on that, that's what I'm really.
Well, give me a break. I feel like I've been talking for a while, so I think you should
Sure,
talk for a
let's
little
go.
bit.
Fine.
Let's
Give
do
me some
it.
second base for $1 then, so I can get period piece all up in you.
Period piece. Calm
Gosh,
down.
jeez. All right, here we go.
Calm
Second base.
down.
This is a little segment we like to call How to Get to Second Base for $1. Oh, yeah.
I have to preface this with the fact that this was the second movie that I had to watch with subtitles on it. This period piece, and I inadvertently didn't realize, Carly, that you'd want to, and not that you want to. It's a period piece that's been redone, 70 bajillion times. But Romeo and Juliet.
Oh yes, I saw the
That
later
just came out, the
Yes,
later
I
one,
saw
just this
that in
past
theater.
year.
Yes.
Paul Giamatti is in it, and then Damian Lewis, who, on a side note, I don't know if the TV show he was in, Life, is on Netflix or anything like that, but that was a great TV show. It was only like a couple seasons, but Life is the name of it, with Damian Lewis, who is on Homeland. But anyway, so those are the two names that I recognized in it, so I didn't really recognize any of the rest of them, but I thought it was a really, really good piece. What was beautiful about it was, and that's why I was asking what you liked about period pieces, was like the costumes and the surroundings and
Do you know
everything.
how much
like
money that cost for the post-production?
I know.
It's ridiculous.
And I
how
looked
much
up the numbers.
money.
It only did like $500,000 in the box office.
It didn't do great. It did not do great.
Not at all.
And I was in theater. I went by myself, and it was basically me and a bunch of 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that because, I connect to a younger crowd. Okay,
Right.
guys.
But so that was my thinking. So I'm like, how can we make this? Because I'll be honest, About Time's in the goddamn,
Here we
Redbox
go.
again.
Here we
So
go.
I'm like, stop it, stop it. So
Someone needs to slap you.
Wait,
so
was
that's
it-
why I picked Romeo and Juliet.
Was it in old-timey English, like original script type of English, or was it in like modern-day English?
Oh
No,
no!
it
This
was
is
in
legit, like
old school,
no,
real Shakespeare.
I had to watch it in subtitles so I knew what they were
No,
saying.
you didn't. Shut up. No, it was
No,
in original
it's the
Shakespeare
original-
context.
yes.
Wait, did you
Complete
really watch it with
context.
subtitles?
No, I really did. No, I
Okay,
honestly
good.
did. Yeah, no, I honestly did. Just to make sure I was hearing
is
what I was saying and stuff.
absurd.
So
No,
yeah,
it's not. I
No.
get it. He's
No, it totally
he's
is, yeah.
trying to learn. He's trying to
Alright.
absorb.
Trying to
yeah.
pick up because I
Okay.
never was a
Alright.
big
You know how
Romeo
when I
and
read
Juliet
Shakespeare,
fan.
you know how many words I'd have to stop and look up if I wanted.
Isn't that how you learn? Isn't that how you
Not
learn?
me. I learned by people explaining things to me. When I took Shakespeare, the best thing was she would
I
stop
love
and go,
Shakespeare.
"Okay, idiots, this
This
word
is what this means.
this," and it's like,
Oh.
like when we were doing that film and I
Okay,
tried to
well-
read Shakespeare. How pathetic was that?
Okay,
It
this
would
is
turn out
coming from a
beautiful.
girl who writes her notes for this show, so I do kind of.
So you are way above par when it comes to smarter than Jeff and Steve.
I don't know
I
if
know
would
she has
say
a hard
that,
time
but-
dumbing herself down to our level.
Oh,
I
shut
know,
up! I don't know if I'm like that, guys. Come
I'm
on.
curious. I do stink.
I feel like I should
Um,
fart right now or something to make me less intelligent.
No, we had enough of your poop jokes from last time.
I know,
That's
no
okay.
more poop.
No more.
I've
no
got
more
enough
poop.
nice spelling to.
I'm
cover.
glad you brought up the 15-year-olds in the theater,
Yes,
though,
okay,
because
why?
my thought was with this Romeo and Juliet was like, who's going to get to second base with this? You know who I thought it was? A younger crowd, because this is totally that movie that fall deeply, passionately in love with somebody for
Oh,
a
yeah.
weekend
Yes,
type of
yes.
thing. You know,
and Steve,
And
you don't have to
that's-
understand the language.
No.
It's all in there.
It
It
is.
is the feeling, the seeing, the
The-
emotions, the score.
The score was great too. Man, well, okay, I remember this. It was at 1 hour and 8 minutes into the movie.
Whoa.
And it was when they were together in bed, and mom was coming into the room or whatever,
Yes,
and they had
he
to
has to
run away,
leave.
and he has to leave
leave
quickly.
Quick.
The musical score to that and everything, like, man, it was such
Gives you
emotional.
chills, doesn't it?
Didn't matter what they were saying.
Yes.
So yeah, so this is a great for like that passionate first love type of thing.
Yeah.
If you're into that thing, this is one
Well,
that's
you
going
don't
to
even
push
have
you
to be
beyond
into that.
that.
I mean, we've all experienced
We've
that
experienced
in our
it,
life. Yes.
and you totally re-experience
You
it
relate
at
to
least
it.
twice in that movie.
But you
want to
know, I'm going to comment on this movie that you saw because I
Mhm.
saw it as well. It's forever been hard for me to. Okay. Because I always go back to the Leonardo Claire Danes.
Okay.
Because it
Yep.
was so
Romeo
epic,
Plus.
so amazing, so creative, so I could go on forever. So, but this one was more classic because it was in Shakespeare. Well, so was the other one. Yeah. It really was in dialogue, but yeah. I mean,
this was more. This was a period piece. It wasn't really done yet.
Well, but yes, indeed.
But it was more of than.
So that was your period piece. I love that you saw it. That's funny.
That was my period piece.
It's
I
not
totally
a lot of
watched
men
it.
See it.
No,
That's
no.
impressive.
I force myself
I
every
feel like giving
time.
you a high five.
Yeah, every time I gotta find something. Romantic comedy is usually my go-to, but this was romance drama, and it was well done. And I actually I love Paul Giamatti as the friar in this thing. I thought he did a great job in this.
Yeah, he has some humor as well. Yes, which
a little bit light.
Which, if you actually read the real thing, kind of feels like to me he also has some humor.
Okay.
So anyway, that's great.
So there you go. That was it. Romeo and
here's
Juliet,
a little bit of film history for your Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
Oh,
so there's the Baz Luhrmann version, and then there was I think like a 1968 version.
Oh yes, I saw that
the
one.
68 stuff.
With the brunette, she was gorgeous.
Yeah. So that was one of the few like G-rated movies to win some sort of an Oscar. Oh, gosh, I forget. I have to look.
Really?
What it is. Yeah. But the Academy Awards, like they just recently talked about it, how G-rated films. It didn't win Best Picture, obviously. But they were talking about it won an Academy Award for Best Cinematography, Best Costume
I believe
design.
that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
It was also nominated for Best Director.
This was the 668.
Yeah, the 68 version.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, and so one of the G-rated movies that, right. So G-rated. So that's the interesting thing. Like you think about today. I remember the movie The Rookie came out a while back, and they're like a live-action movie that's rated G. Like that hasn't happened since like the 60s, right? Yeah. And so at first you're kind of like, well, that. Movies have really must have gotten dirty. Like why, right? But the I think the rating has become so skewed lately, where somebody says, "Oh shoot," or there's a gun going off. It's all of a sudden rated.
It's true.
PG.
Yeah,
my
PG.
husband won't even watch a movie. He's like, it needs to be 13, but I prefer R or worse. I'm like, geez, and he's like, it's not gonna be good. I'm like, okay, all right, calm down.
So here's a really funny thing to me about this being rated G. You see boobies in this movie.
The 1968 one.
Yeah, the 68 one.
I don't recall that.
I don't remember seeing boobies in this.
There are, and I'll tell you why I know that.
Okay,
please.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay.
So when I was in high school in Oregon,
and I had a VHS player.
Jeff, that means you had to have been in 9th or 10th grade, because I knew you in 11th grade.
Yes, so this was 10th grade, I believe.
Okay.
So you have homeroom where you're sitting in some benign classroom and you watch like Channel 1 TV, which is right. So every classroom has a TV in it, and you're watching the stupid news for stupid kids, right?
You really liked your school,
right? So that TV's in all the rooms. So that wasn't on. It was like during class, but all those TVs had that. All the classrooms had those TVs in there, and the teachers would just leave them on because. Whenever the homeroom news came on, it just came on.
Yeah,
so the teachers would just leave their TVs on all the time.
Okay.
Well, some kid who didn't realize what was going on was working in the library and thought he was just all alone in the library room. And he had
put it in the main one, didn't he?
So he puts in Romeo and Juliet, and all of a sudden you look up and you see this movie being fast forwarded, and you're trying to do your work, and you're like,
yes, he went right to.
That's weird. So he goes right to her jumping out of bed in that scene that you were just talking about, and you see some boobies. But it's just for like a few
frames,
like
just
few
quick.
frames, right? So you see the boobies, and then you see it pause, and then you see it rewind, and then you see the boobies again, and then you see it rewind, and then you see it in slow mo, like frame by frame, like do.
Yes.
So what I can only imagine is the entire school, because it was certainly my classroom, looking up and just seeing boobs frame by frame, and the teacher running over to the TV, and everybody in the entire school had to be thinking the same thing. That kid is getting it.
Expelled.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it shuts off, and as soon as it shut off,
in there.
some kid got his ass beat.
So I write the description show notes for all of our episodes, and I just jotted down boobs frame by frame. That's going to be in our description for this episode now.
Indeed, that's what it was. Boobs frame by frame.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks very much.
That was a great story.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my story of the boobs in the rated G movie.
Okay.
I was smiling ear to ear. I loved it. Little mischievous little shit.
Yeah, I can't stop that at all. We need to move on to film history or something else now. So.
Are we doing speed round?
We do speed run at the end.
Okay.
That's how we like to
That's
wrap
what you
it
normally
up. That's
do.
what we normally do. Yeah, we did it earlier last time because you had to leave earlier, but we got you for the full hour now.
I know, all right.
I'm committed.
Well, do we have a Cumber bottom thing that we got to do? Or
I
something?
think that Steve
We do.
does.
Okay.
Steve's in control of this right now.
Well, so here's the thing. We have obsessions.
Yes.
Carly and I have obsessions, and so we I picked 3 quotes from my obsession.
Oh, great.
She picked a few quotes from hers. And what we're going to do tonight, Jeff, because we're all learning here together, we're developing new things. We want you to pick your favorite.
Right. So we each have a favorite, and it could be celebrity, it could be a Muppet, it could be anything. You choose, and you obsess over it, and then we deliver a very small bit of news each show.
Yes.
Okay.
You can
So-
even create an intro. Apparently,
Yeah.
he's created
Yeah.
intros. I'm
Yeah.
wondering how good mine is.
We're redoing it.
Oh, man. Okay.
It's a work in progress,
It's a work
but
in
it's a good start.
But it is
Okay,
a good start.
okay,
It is a good
all
start.
right.
So anyways, do you have 3 quotes, or do you have a little news thing for
Well,
your
I actually have.
Cumberbatch
Yeah, I have
buddy?
a very small. It's like a one. Okay, so I saw this interview.
Okay,
Okay, a
delicious.
YouTube interview.
Mm.
I watched many from Benedict Cumberbatch,
Oh.
but on one of the interviews, he said that oftentimes he gets people that come up to him and he thinks they're gonna be like, "I love you," and they're like, "Dude, your mom is so hot,"
Oh my god.
and he's like, "I don't really know what to say. It's very awkward." But I was like, "Really? Like, how hot is his mom?" Oh, his mom's name is Wanda Ventham.
Oh.
Ventham.
Check this hussy out.
Whoa.
My.
That's your mom,
She-
Benedict.
That's his mama, and she's an actress. She's been acting since 1956 all the way up. She actually is featured in Sherlock as a character in Sherlock. So yeah, she's pretty hot. You have to post a picture of that lady. I mean, she's not hot now. She's in her 80s. But Steve-O is just completely
Yeah, because my nerdness is kicking in, going like, you know what?
filmography.
Well, she would have been picked to me already. I see it right off the bat. Susan Storm, Invisible Woman for.
Oh.
She was in 1974 Invasion, UFO, Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunters, 1974.
That just sounds like an awesome movie.
She's in one in 2012 called Run for Your Wife. That's interesting. She's hot. So
I
you
bet
guys
you
gotta
she
post
plays
this
the
picture.
wife.
She is hot.
Yeah,
Now I
I
understand,
can understand why he
people are
gets
like, Jesus,
questioned.
your mom is hot stuff. So that's my bit of news about and roundabout about him.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't know if you want me to do because I mean, is there no intro?
We don't have an intro right now.
Okay.
I'll go back and forth with you. I have a little bit of news. I picked
Ooh.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt for
You're
my
not
little
going to do
obsession.
Jennifer. Why though?
No,
You're
well,
obsessed
because
with her.
because
Okay.
Jennifer automatically gets a point up for Jeff because she has boobs, and he likes boobs frame by frame.
Oh, okay.
So I
frame
picked
by
a guy.
Frame. Yep.
I mean, I might switch over to girl. Girl what's next?
Wow,
But I'm
there's
on
so
guy
many ways
right
to
now.
take that.
Okay, so you're switching
my
it up.
little tidbit of news for Joseph Gordon-Levitt that's
Uh-huh.
kind of cool is because I love anytime he always picks great movies to be in, but he is filming in Canada The Walk,
Mhm.
which is about the French Philippe Petit, the French guy who walked 450-foot high wire
I
between
have
the Twin
heard of
Towers.
this, yes.
Oh, that's a great documentary.
He's-
Man on
he-
Wire.
Yeah, Man on Wire is a
If you're
documentary,
looking
but
for- yeah, Man on Wire.
he's doing. It's called The Walk, and he is playing Philippe
Wow,
Petit in it,
okay.
and it's filming it right now in Canada. So I'm very excited about that. That's my little tidbit of
Yeah,
news
that's
for
exciting.
him, though. So yes, it's gonna be a 3D film.
I
so
love
I
him.
don't know.
3D.
Let's go with that,
Ooh,
but yeah, they're doing it in
scary.
3D.
Oh, that'll be cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. And
Yeah.
I'm not into 3D, but that might be
Mm.
worth seeing just because
Yeah.
it's JGL.
Mm.
JGL.
So, anyways, that's what our intro is gonna be. It's gonna be Carly and I just going.
Oh, him. Because
Oh,
he can say that. He's
Jennifer.
obsessed with that man. Even
Yeah,
though
I
he's
am.
straight, he would probably do JGL.
I would lay on a shag rug at
Oh.
the fireplace next to me.
Would you be naked?
Okay.
This
That's
is-
interesting because I actually have a question about this in my speed round, so it's interesting you brought it
Oh,
up.
my.
Just to tease that a little bit.
Okay.
all
Oh, I'm
right.
excited.
All right.
All right. No, but that was my. I wouldn't call that my fact, but I would say that's just an interesting tidbit.
Yeah, mine's
so.
interesting tidbit.
And the
so-
quotes, I mean, they're not that exciting.
Okay, give me some quotes.
All right.
Give me some Cumberbatch
This was good. This
quotes.
is from Sherlock.
Uh-huh.
He said, "Quote: Don't talk out loud. You'll lower the IQ of the whole street.
You've got to watch
that's
Sherlock.
So great.
Oh, he's
it's
so
great.
Yeah, he
Another
puts down
one.
people so well.
Face the other way. You're turning me off. Seriously, so
Yes.
great. This is my favorite of the entire all 4 seasons. I'm not a psychopath. I'm a high functioning sociopath.
Nice. My I with JGL, I just found some that he had done during interviews, and there's 2 that I really liked. And the first one is my dad never blew up anything, but he probably had friends who did. He and my mom have always preached that the pen is mightier than the Molotov cocktail.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that's quite a quote.
That's a great quote, right?
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. And then this one's great because this is like a great I don't know, something about him. I was watching baby videos of myself, and I was obviously an exhibitionist. Just the fact that he's watching,
I love it.
it.
Yeah. He's like, I just sometimes watch videos of myself when I'm a baby
videos
whatever,
of me,
because
I'm
I'm
obsessed.
awesome
Yeah.
with myself.
Yeah, and I was obviously an exhibitionist.
And I was so cute
so,
and an
yes.
exhibitionist.
Yeah.
That is adorable.
Yeah, I
Those
thought
are
that
good
was really
quotes.
cute. So those were good quotes. So, but Jeff completely left the building on us.
Yeah, I think he's in the loo.
He's got to go drain
That's
the
just
in
great.
the loo.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Well,
Thanks a lot.
I don't know.
But hey, does anyone seriously? So I really want to watch Game of Thrones, but is there any way I can watch it without?
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that.
All right.
Yeah, actually,
mean-
one of the members of the Socially Awkward show is going to be hooking me up as well because I was able to catch up on season 3, and then I was able to watch
anything.
I was able to watch the first episode of the new season because it was on Xbox. They were giving that away for free, so I was like, perfect. I already found out what happened in the next episode because I was all like, you know what's gonna happen? Someone's gonna ruin it for me.
Yeah.
So I already told Eric, go ahead and get me the episode, but I already found out what happened with at least one person. So I was like, all right, that's fine.
Steve-O, I haven't even seen one thing about it. I haven't even seen a trailer for it.
So not even season 1, anything at all with Game of Thrones.
Nothing?
Oh
Just
my
watch
god!
watch the trailer to Skyrim and you're good.
No, I will. Well, but I want to see it all. I want to start from the beginning. I started from the bottom. Now I'm here.
All right. Oh, so Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Benedict Cumberbatch, who gets a point this evening?
Oh, but
Would you like to hear my quotes again since you left the room?
Yes.
These were my quotes from Joseph Gordon-Levitt. My dad never blew up anything, but he probably had friends who did. He and my mom have always preached that the pen is mightier than the Molotov cocktail. And then another one. I was watching baby videos of myself, and I was obviously an exhibitionist. Those are my 2 quotes from JGL.
Those are quotes from him.
But those are
my
quotes
quotes
from
are
him.
Quotes from the
Her
show.
quotes are quotes from the show.
Give me
a little
Give me your
different.
quotes again.
I'm not a. This is where if I had a laptop. Okay. Don't talk out loud. You'll lower the IQ of the whole street. Face the other way. You're turning me off. I'm not a psychopath. I'm a high functioning sociopath.
Yeah, see, those are much better quotes just because they were written for him.
Exactly.
But
I win.
She just took the steal for that
but
one.
how do you rank that? Because he performed those, but
And very
JGL
well
wrote those
by himself off the top of his head.
Off the top of his head.
Yeah.
So.
So is it? Are we equal?
You're not going to hand out any
Yeah,
points.
I
You
don't
don't want to pick favorites. You're afraid one of us is going to be mad at you. Is that what this is?
Don't
Well,
worry.
now
What
I'm mad at you.
what am I voting
Who
on?
gets the
Who
better
gets
vote
the better
tonight?
vote
But am I
tonight?
voting on the quotes or am I voting on the person or what?
The presentation.
The presentation.
The
Vote on
presentation.
presentation.
Well, I liked your story too. I like the hot mama too. Yeah, Carly gets a point.
Yes.
All right, 1 point for Carly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Jeez.
It's because I told you you smelled good earlier. Maybe you should compliment
Yeah.
your
I
best
should
friend more.
compliment him more.
Yeah. Well, you really swung for the fence. I mean, you brought in pictures. You had stories. You
I did my research, journalist.
Yeah.
Hello.
Right.
Steve just sitting there clicking away on his laptop.
Oh no, I'm doing show notes for other shows.
For tomorrow's show.
All right. That brings us down to film history and speed around.
Okay, film history.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
actually
I'm
excited for
cutting
this.
you off at 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to fulfill that because I probably will be.
You probably could go longer. All right, let's do this.
It's time for This Week in Film History.
All right. So we're doing another murder mystery. So the first one we did was Thomas Ince. We did that 2 years ago, like when we first started.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this one. And then there's a third one I want to get to at some point, who's Fatty Arbuckle. He was in this big scandal murder scandal. So that's a really interesting one. So this was all in like the early 20s. So this was like right when the big studios came around,
Cool.
and so this was right when, in fact, a lot of these things, in fact, this murder in particular, led to a lot of studios starting like moral codes within their clause.
Oh, interesting.
With their actors, so because they were tired of trying to clean up this stuff, because it ruins people who are even slightly remotely involved were being destroyed as stars because they had some sort of connection to this, even though they weren't guilty of anything.
Sure.
And then sometimes there's stuff in there that leads to issues. So they just started developing the moral clause. Okay, so there's two main people I want to talk about in the story. That's really cool.
Okay.
And then we'll get into all the cool suspects and stuff like that. And the reason I want to talk about these two people in particular is because I think their story would be like a really good movie.
Okay.
So we start off with Mabel Normand, and Mabel Normand was she was an actress. She got started. She was just an okay actress, but then she started dating Max Sennett, who had the Keystone Studios, the Keystone Cops, basically Keystone Studios, everything with Max Sennett. All the great comedians had some sort of connection to him.
With Max.
Yeah, Mabel Normand actually trained Chaplin. She did a lot of early stuff with him, and Fatty Arbuckle. She did a lot of stuff with Fatty Arbuckle, and Arbuckle was actually the guy who taught Keaton everything he knew.
Interesting.
So, I mean, this was like the epicenter of like the beginning. And one of the cool things about Mabel Normand was she did these movies called I forget, they had some cool little name for these little films, but basically what she would do is like she kind of created her Mabel character, and then they would go out and they would find some event that's happening, right? So like there's this big, like the state fair's going on, right? So they'd go down to the state fair and they just figure out some sort of story and figure it out, and then do some story there. So everybody thought they had these like really high production values, but they were just going out, finding events, and then shooting stuff while they're out there, and creaing these stories. So yeah, it's really cool. So she was,
especially for that time.
Yeah, and so she was actually, so back then, like you could be a woman writer, director easily, if you had the stuff. In fact, there were a lot of women writers back then.
I'm sure they weren't recognized though. But
no.
Yeah.
Nobody behind the scene really had any credit back then.
Yeah.
So she actually became a director too. So that's how she kind of taught Chaplin a lot of stuff, and she worked with Arbuckle a lot on screen. And then she kind of grew more. She actually invented the pie in the face gag.
No way.
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool.
The very first recorded pie in the face gag was by her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Mabel, that's awesome.
Yeah, Mabel Normand. Yeah, so she was actually really successful. She was terrific at her craft. But then Chaplin left the studio, and she did a feature film with him, and she got the bug, and so she left Sennett Studios to go on her own, and so she got on her own, and she was actually doing pretty good. But she was living the party life at that point, and so she was partying really hard. She got really into crack or cocaine, and so she was really into cocaine, and she had
down, Mabel.
Yeah, so
Mabel and the pies guy.
Yeah, right. So that was so she had this terrific career. She was really super talented, and she just started throwing it away by partying really hard. And
sounds like a local today celebrity,
right? Yeah, you would think they would learn since the 20s, but no,
no one's learned. Same old story.
Yeah. So. Moving on from Lindsay Lohan, there was
right.
As we now call her.
Lindsay,
okay, so here
Mabel.
so we'll leave her where she's at. She's super successful, crazy. She's got
and
this
then
crazy
into the drugs.
Right. So okay. So then we'll move on to this other character,
story, by the way.
Wilman Desmond Taylor.
William
Desmond Taylor.
Well, we're both like Wilman. Okay, William.
So he's an immigrant who comes to the country very young. He marries. Has a daughter. He's in New York. He's doing really good. He actually runs this really upscale boutique shop. They run in Upper Town. Cool. They run in the upper circle. So he's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
High society type of guy. And then one day he goes out for lunch and decides, I'm not coming back home. So he just disappears.
Suspicious.
He disappears. He's at he just goes out for lunch, doesn't return. They find out he got $600 from the antique shop, but then they just never saw him again.
Okay.
And there's this 2-year gap where we don't really know what happened to him.
Okay.
We sort of think that he traveled through the Midwest, maybe even Alaska, doing different like farming, mining, acting jobs and stuff like that, because he did have a little bit of history in acting.
Okay.
So then all of a sudden he turns up in
again.
California at Thomas Eins's. Remember we talked about how Thomas Eins built the first like real studios down there, first like real lot.
Okay.
And so he shows up on that lot, which is an interesting connection to this murder mystery, right? So he shows up there, and he is just a bit actor, but he didn't really like to chit chat with the other actors like everyone else did. He liked to observe and watch and see what was going on. And back then, they, if they had the opportunity to not pay a director, if they could just pay an actor to direct too, then hey, that's one less person that we have to pay, so that's great.
Yeah.
So, he was, so he had learned, enough, and so they let him. They asked him to start directing, which he did, and then they started finding out, oh, by the way he talks and carries on, they're like, oh, he's actually kind of an upper class type of a guy.
Interesting. Okay.
So they're like, okay, so then he gets more into the production side of things and handling and managing stuff like that. So he actually becomes a big producer for Paramount.
Wow.
So he ends up kind of having his own studio and his own.
Never mind my daughter and my wife.
Yeah.
I'm still just
right
doing my
at the
own
boutique
thing.
shop.
Yeah. So the interesting
Right.
side of that, so she eventually just divorces him because he's absentee.
'Cause he's
so
gone.
he
He's MIA.
disappears.
Yeah.
She remarries. He moves on. Whatever.
Right.
So they actually find out about him because they go and see a movie, and she's at the screen, and she's just like, "That's your dad."
Oh my gosh.
On screen, and that's how they found out. And so they hook up with him with some sort of like press junket afterwards, or somehow get in touch with him. And so he was like, "Oh, okay." I don't really know a lot about how him and his wife developed, but he was like, "Oh, hey, okay, so my daughter, that's right, I have a daughter." So he
What a
he
jackass.
does reconnect with her and starts to foster a relationship with her in 1921, which is good because in 1922 he's dead.
What?
Dun dun dun. Yes, he's
Interesting.
dead in 1922.
Jackass probably deserved that death. Jesus.
So
kid.
he wasn't the perfect moral guy. He was.
You don't say.
So there's also interesting thought. They think the reason that he really left because he had some sort of certain mental episodes, which they don't describe real well because they didn't have any way of diagnosing it.
There's no diagnosis
They
for that
think
kind of
that
stuff
there's
back then.
some sort of issues with him, like maybe it's bipolar or just some sort of in and out of some sort of personality or something.
Okay. All right, let's pause. Mabel, pie, cocaine. William, upscale boutique, disappears. Thomas Hines Studio.
Jackass.
William shows up. William becomes Paramount producer, reconnects with daughter in 1921. Actually, a jackass, dead in 1922.
Wow, you've been taking notes. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to make sure everybody was with us.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
continue
So
on.
Those are the cliff notes.
Those are your
Those
cliff
are the
notes.
cliff notes.
So.
Then that's where we are at
All right.
because he, everybody, even though he's kind of got this mental thing, and even though he is very, he's philandering, he's not, he does develop a relationship with Maeve Norman.
Mabel.
Okay,
Mabel
so we're back to
Norman.
Mabel, the pie cocaine
Yes.
girl. Okay.
So they meet.
Lady that is crack
Yes.
cocaine.
So they meet and sort of fall in love.
Of course they do. They're both dysfunctional.
And she sort of comes to him because he is sort of an upstanding guy, and he actually has a really good reputation and stuff like that. And she wants to.
Yeah, good connection for her.
Yeah,
She's
so
got her
she-
mind on right.
She actually wants to get away from this cocaine addiction,
Oh, so
and
she
he
sees
wants
him
to
as
help
the
her with
escape.
that.
Okay.
But they're both. She's messed up, and so the relationship's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Oh, no. Those ones, very passionate, never work out.
Yeah.
No,
So
true.
she actually comes from the relationship sort of develops, but nothing really, there's
Comes
no
of it,
commitment
yeah.
there. But she is the last person to
see
see
him.
him alive,
Freaking
and that
Okay.
is where we are going to pick
And when
up
they
the story.
found him, did he have crack cocaine
No.
crystals
All over his
body? Just wondering.
Listen, I've seen some CSI
No.
episodes. So.
So she is the last person to see him alive. And I'll just give you real quick what. So she goes to visit him at about 7:15 at night. So
Okay.
we're at his bungalow,
Okay.
and she's there till about 7:45, and then she waves goodbye as they leave.
Okay.
Her driver takes them away, and he's the last person, and she's the last one to see him alive.
Okay. That's sad.
Okay. Yes. So
It's really sad.
He isn't discovered until the next morning, and that's when we're going to pick up the story.
Gross.
Okay,
all right.
The discovery of the body.
Here we go. So they find him the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is, in Taylor's pockets, investigators find a wallet holding $78, which
That's a lot of money back then.
This is very sad. Adjusted to today's money, it's $1,074.
That's a lot of money.
Wow.
Yes. A silver cigarette case, a nice pocket watch, a penknife, a locket with Mabel's picture in it, actually.
Aww.
So this is
2
not a
carat,
theft gone wrong.
Yeah, a diamond ring. So
man.
so his accountant does say that there's some sort of hidden money that's missing, but obviously if they missed all that,
it's not. It's more deep. It's not about the money.
So
about the drugs, though.
That's interesting, right? So they're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. They think, after some investigation, the time of Taylor's death was at 7:50 p.m. that night.
That's like 5 minutes after she left.
Very good. Okay.
What the hell, man?
Yes. So,
I'm already suspicious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we're going to solve. We're solving this crime
Exactly.
tonight.
Oh my.
Yes. And I'm trying to find
7:50 p.m.
embezzlement.
Don't forget to take those cliff notes, Steve.
I got the cliff notes. So far, William meets Mabel. Last person to see him alive, 7:45 p.m. Had $78 in his pocket, equal $1,074. Today, died at 7:50 p.m.
Okay, so
It would be so stupid.
so here,
here comes this annoying, stupid duo that just takes notes. We're like, so let me repeat that back to you 7 times. Okay, sorry.
Aha, there's a future career for you.
What are you going to do about it? Oh, nothing. I just take notes.
I just take notes. I got it all down.
That's all I got, kid.
I can repeat it back to you.
Okay, so here's when we find the body at 7:30 a.m. the next day when the body is discovered. All right,
Okay.
The body of William Desmond Taylor was found at his bungalow, and then it gives an address. Well,
We
very
don't
specific.
need to know
Yep,
that address.
I was going to Google Earth it, damn it.
Right, okay, so
I need to know that. What is the number?
you can Wikipedia, actually. It's very good. So a crowd gathered inside, and someone identifying himself as a doctor stepped forward, made a cursory examination of the body, and declared Taylor had died of a stomach hemorrhage. The doctor was never seen again, perhaps owing to his own embarrassment, because when doubts later arose, the body was rolled over by a forensic investigator, and it was discovered he wasn't died of that. It was discovered that the 49-year-old director had been shot at least once in the back with what appeared to have been a small caliber pistol, which was not found at the scene.
So the doctor killed him, or he killed him.
Hiding it. Or,
Right.
Yes.
So who knows what was going on there? But I have heard conflicting reports that he was shot in the side and the chest. So
Can you imagine what those reports were like and how unorganized and stupid those investigators were back in that day?
It's not just that; it's that the investigation was messed up and on purpose.
Well, that obviously it was there was some scheme. I'm just saying that was just
Yeah.
my side notice. I mean, if Steve and I already figured this shit out, can you imagine? Like,
Yeah.
oh my
How bad it was in the
god.
1920s.
So now we're going to get into the fun part with the suspects.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, you guys
Suspect
ready?
list. Let's get
All right,
the
here we go.
lineup
I
going.
got some music for this.
Mr. Colonel Custard.
A little bit of private eye music here.
This sounds more like I should be having sex in an elevator.
Okay, well, we'll keep playing it.
The 1920s.
Ooh, that's super scandalous.
Okay, so more than a dozen
My name is
individuals
Mabel.
were eventually named as suspects by both the press and the police. Newspaper reports at the time were both overwhelming, sensationalized, and speculative, even fabricated, and the murder was used for the basis of subsequent true crime fiction, blah, blah, blah. There's actually an Arizona connection to this crime.
No, there
That's
is not.
Very interesting. Yes, there is.
Okay.
That we'll get to at the very end of this. Okay.
I'm almost about to climax. Hold on. All right, go ahead.
Take your time.
Missed it by this much.
Wow.
Yes.
You are very routine with that, Carly. Okay, so the suspects. Are you ready?
I
Ready.
am. I'm actually
List it.
excited about
Here
this.
we go. Edward Sands. Here's our first guy. He was his.
Write that down.
Edward
Got it.
Sands.
Edward Sands. Check.
Yes. He had just been fired as his driver, his chauffeur. So he also had
Ooh.
prior convictions for embezzlement, forgery, serial desertion from the U.S. military,
his
blah blah
record's
blah.
not looking good.
Right. He had worked with Taylor's valet, and he worked as cook until 7 months before the murder. While Taylor was in Europe for the summer before, Sands had forged Taylor's checks and wrecked his car. Later, Sands burglarized Taylor's bungalow, leaving footprints on the film director's bed. Following the murder, Edward Sands was never seen or heard from again. Some accounts claim that Sands' body was found in the Sacramento River in the early 1930s.
Okay.
So he could have something to do with this.
So he could have.
Could have been Mabel.
So
maybe she slipped a pill.
Another,
she was like, I'm done with your
another
ass.
pill that turned into a bullet and shot out of his chest.
Well, no, that came later. I think maybe someone went.
Come on.
They did have those.
So the other suspect would be his current valet, who's Henry Peavy, who was an African American.
Write that down, Steve.
Okay. So there's an interesting story here. Peavy also had a criminal record. 3 days before Taylor's murder, Peavy had been arrested for, quote, social vagrancy and charged with being lewd and dissolute. But he was black, so...
That's jacked up.
Yeah, so maybe...
he's probably totally innocent, but they're just like, oh, he's of color.
He's a colored individual.
Yeah, so maybe, right?
He's obviously a
So
bad
here's
guy.
an interesting report about Peavy, and I'm reading. This is actually a quote. So don't judge me for the
no
horrible
judging,
remarks
but I am
made in
taking
this.
notes.
Okay. All right. So according to one writer wrote this about the situation. Even though the police decided after severe questioning that Peavy was not the murderer, the Hollywood correspondent of the Daily News, Floribel Muir, M-U-I-R, Muir, came to a private conclusion that Peavy was a murderer. In that era of ingenuous women reporters, again, not my words, Muir thought she could engineer a scoop by tricking Peavy into a confession. She knew from the movies that blacks were deathly afraid of ghosts.
What?
You can see how poorly this is going to turn out.
Horrible.
Wow.
So, with the help of two Confederates, Frank Carlson and Al Wengshank, she offered Peavy $10 if he would identify Taylor's grave in the Hollywood Park Cemetery, which she had already visited and knew the gravesite. So Wengshank had gone on ahead with a white sheet, and Muir and Carson drove Peavy to the site. Wengshank, who came from a tough section of Chicago, spoke with the accent of a hoodlum. When he loomed up in the sheet, he cried out, "I'm the ghost of William Desmond Taylor! You murdered me! Confess, Peavy!" Henry laughed out loud. Then he cursed them roundly. Unfortunately, Muir, she was unaware that Taylor had a distinctly British accent. Whereas
unaware.
Unaware. Wengshank, as Muir revealed in her memoirs, not only spoke like a hoodlum, but was one of Chicago's mobsters who was later gunned down in the infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre. In 1931, Peavy died in San Francisco. Again, so, okay, all right.
Well, I'm really glad that music's over with. The news bit was fine, but geez.
All right. So then you have Faith Cole McLaren, who was the wife of his neighbor. So this is actually interesting, a new aspect of the story that we didn't know about.
Okay.
So she's the only one to have seen possibly the murderer. So she's the neighbor. And it's widely believed...
The neighbors are never good.
Yeah. So the couple were startled by a loud noise at 8 p.m. McLean went to her front door and came face to face with someone emerging from the front door of Taylor's home, who she said was dressed like, quote, like my idea of a motion picture burglar. She recalled... Yeah.
Man, movies really controlled it.
She recalled this person paused for a moment before turning and walking back through the door as if having forgotten something, then reemerged, flashed a smile at her before disappearing between the buildings. McLean decided she had heard so at that point she just figured she heard a car backfire, so she gave up and went back inside. She also told police interviewers that this person looked, quote, funny, and the way she described that was like a movie actor in makeup, and it may have been a woman in disguise.
This is getting kooky.
This is getting crazy.
Yeah.
I'm already confused. We're taking notes, and I'm like, this is long.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
So it may have been a woman at this point in some sort of disguise. So
Hollywood burglar.
So another one of the characters or the suspects is Charles Eaton, and the only reason he's brought up is because they think that he was actually the head of Paramount Studios back then, and so after it's widely believed that he, and some people said that they've seen it, that him along with some Paramount employees came in after before the police got there and actually took stuff out of the house.
Jesus Christ.
So at what point they came in and stole the stuff, we don't know. What they took, we don't know. But I can tell you that I know that I'm convinced anyways that Taylor was at least bisexual, because there was another guy that I'm convinced that he had a relationship with.
Holy cow! Right? This cold case is getting ridiculous.
It's not a cold case.
There's plenty of
case
plenty of actresses, right, who were coming up through the system who, he had some sort of relationship with them, right? So he was fairly active, shall we say?
Good for him.
Right? Okay, so now let's get into that part of it. So the relationships with
Jeff, how much more do we have of this?
We have 3 more.
Oh my God.
Yes.
All right, let's do this quick.
Okay.
I can only take so many notes.
Mary Miles Minter. So I think this is the juiciest part of it. So okay. So here we go. I think these are the juiciest.
I need my elevator sex music.
Right? So Mary Miles Minter. Minter was a former child star and teen screen idol whose career had been guided by Taylor. Okay. But she was very young. Minter, who had grown up without a father, was only 3 years older. So this girl was only 3 years older than his actual daughter, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty young. Based upon these reports, reporters alleged that there was a sexual relationship between the 40-year-old Knight and the 19-year-old, but they believe it started back when she was 17, so pretty young, right? Delicious. So other people refuted that he was really seeing her, but it seems like something was going on. So because there's a lot of passionate letters that he wrote to her that were later printed in newspapers, and it shattered her screen image as like a modest, wholesome young girl. Again, this is how the moral clause kind of came in later. Mm-hmm. So Minter was vilified in the press. She made 4 more films for Paramount, and when the studios failed to renew her contract, she received offers from many other producers, but she was never comfortable as an actress, so she declined them all. And in 1957, she married a really rich guy, and she died pretty wealthy and comfortable obscurity in Santa Monica. Right, so that was Mary Minter, one of the young actresses coming through. Okay, so now here's one of the bigger targets, Charlotte Shelby. Charlotte Shelby was Minter's mother. Like many stage mothers before and since, she's been described as consumed by greed and manipulation over her daughter's career. So Mary Miles Minter, who we just talked about, and her mother were bitterly divided by financial disputes and lawsuits for a time, but they later reconciled. Shelby's initial statement to police about the murderer are still characterized as evasive and, quote, obviously filled with lies about both her daughter's relationship with Taylor and other matters. Perhaps the most compelling bit of circumstantial evidence was that Shelby allegedly owned a rare .38 caliber pistol and unusual bullets very similar to the kind which killed Taylor. After this later became public, she reportedly threw the pistol into the Louisiana bayou. Shelby knew the Los Angeles district attorney. She knew the attorney socially and spent years outside the United States in an effort to avoid official inquiries by his successor and press coverage related to the murder. In 1938, her other daughter, actress Margaret Shelby, who had openly accused her mother of murder during an argument. Shelby was widely suspected of the crime and was a favorite suspect for many writers. For example, one actually speculated that Shelby was torn by feelings of maternal protection for her daughter and her own attraction for Taylor. Although Shelby herself feared being tried for murder, at least in 2 Los Angeles. Two Los Angeles County District Attorneys publicly declined to prosecute her. Almost 20 years after the murder, a Los Angeles District Attorney named Burton Fitz concluded that there wasn't any evidence for an indictment of Shelby and recommended that the remaining evidence and case files be retained on a permanent basis. However, those materials subsequently disappeared. She died in 1957, and that Fitz, that attorney, committed suicide in ill health. So don't feel bad for him. I guess is immoral. I don't know. And so finally, here's the last one. Okay. So Margaret Gibson, who had she was an actress who did work with Taylor when he came to Hollywood. In 1917, she was indicted for the equivalent of prostitution and opium dealing and that sort of stuff. But she was
the good
never
stuff in life.
Yeah,
okay.
at the time she was never considered a suspect. So she, but she did work with him, and she did work for a studio and did pretty well after his death. And then she went on she left the country and married and blah, 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 came back, and she was, let's see. Okay, so she left the country, she came back, and she was dying, and she at that time had converted to Catholicism, so she felt, penance stuff. So it says on 21st of October 1964, while living in Hollywood Hills under a different name, she suffered a heart attack. As recently converted Roman Catholic, before dying, she confessed that she, quote, shot and killed William Desmond Taylor, along with, end quote, along with several other things the witness didn't understand and couldn't remember more than 30 years later. The witness to her confession later repeated his in a documentary, and apparently a couple other people had on their deathbed had admitted to it. And the way we know some of these things is from something called Taylorology, which is someone went back and started looking back, and they finding out all these reviews and interviews and press clippings and stuff like that, and started publishing them through
and started piecing it all together.
Yeah, through 1993 through 2000. And his name was Bruce Long, and he was a staff member at Arizona University at ASU, and he used his connections at ASU to do research for this. And so you can go online, if you look up Taylorology.com, you can find all these different press clippings and all the, he released a monthly edition from, whatever to 2000, and then he released 2 after that as information came out in 2007, 2004. So, anyways, that is all the suspects, and I'll just end by saying, we started off with
Mabel playing cocaine.
That was a little bit
long.
That
was a lot of
after
suspects.
The butler got the suspects, I lost it. I couldn't focus anymore.
So the reason I started off with them is the last remaining theory is that she came to him for, to get help from cocaine.
Right.
And some people believe that, we know that he was going to help her with that, and he was in love with her, and he really wanted to help her to kick the habit, and he couldn't do it by just connecting with her. So his next option was to take out the suppliers who was supplying her with cocaine. So he had actually met with district attorneys and people like that, high-power people, and he was actually going to help them prosecute these people who were supplying her with cocaine. So since she couldn't get off it, he was going to go try and go around the laws.
Sure.
And it's possible that that's what got him killed.
Yeah, one of the
and so
suppliers.
Can you imagine if you were her, you're the last person to see him alive. He was murdered immediately afterwards, and he died because he was trying to help you deal with a habit that you couldn't kick. And she cried profusely through his funeral. She never recovered, and she just kept drifting down and down after that. So what a story that would be, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you guys is, who did it?
Oh no, I was going to go with Mabel. I was just going to go with Mabel
and the
Mabel
cocaine. Too. Yeah.
So that's what I was going to go with. Now I guess it does make sense with the whole cocaine dealers and everything like that. But I was thinking Mabel. I
think that Mabel did it, and then the whole shot. You know how he was shot? I think that was the doctor that came in and did a quick although they didn't have silencers back then, but something was fishy in between there. But I think the initial person was probably Mabel.
Yeah, I think Mabel. I think the love thing and the cocaine and everything else, and it was a passionate thing and the argument and shot, and I would build the story that the doctor faked what he actually died from to get away with.
Yeah,
and
maybe he's
Mabel
on the
stuff
Paramount employee role.
Right,
this is all
something. So. Holy cow,
oh
Jeff.
My God.
That was way too many suspects on that murder mystery, though.
Okay.
Whew. All right.
So moral of the story, don't help anybody.
Man, moral of the story, yeah.
Don't move to LA.
Don't move to LA. Moral story. Carly has speed rounds.
Yeah.
She has one for you, Jeff, and one for me. We speed rounded her last podcast. She's going to speed round us now.
All right, cool.
All right. Who's first?
Do Steve. I've been talking for a long time.
Well, I was going to say I'm first because I am on the top of her notes. I'm looking at right now Steve's 10 questions and then Jeff's 10 questions.
All right, you ready, Steve?
All right.
And this is one of those, I don't know, you guys had rules for me. My only rule is just it doesn't really matter what the scenario is. It's what you want it to be. So just answer.
Just whatever comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Good. That's a speed.
Number 1, French kissing or cute pecking?
French kissing.
2, if you had to choose one, would you be an extreme nail biter or a smoker?
Extreme nail biter.
Okay, 3, mint or spearmint?
Mint.
4, brownies or chili cheese fries?
Chili cheese fries.
Lights on or lights off?
Lights off.
Do you stay for the credits in a movie or do you leave when the filming is over?
Stay for the credits.
Would you rather visit Portugal or Norway?
Norway.
Would you rather be a Mormon or be a Muslim?
Muslim.
Women, if you had to choose, would you choose a Latin or an Asian?
Latin.
Eat chocolate-covered pickle or chocolate truffle dipped in gravy?
Chocolate-covered pickle.
All right, those are my questions.
Whew.
Oh, man.
Yeah, speed round. See, that's how a speed round needs to go.
You did really well.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow, these aren't movie related. I'm nervous.
Yeah,
the truth comes out.
Yeah, no. Okay.
No, it's perfect.
No, there's one movie-related one for you.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right,
cool.
Jeff's 10
I look forward to that
questions. All right, room temperature water or ice-cold water?
Room temperature water.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Beer or whiskey?
Beer.
Home Depot or Lowe's?
Home Depot.
Fix it or call someone?
Fix it.
Blind or deaf?
And then call somebody because clearly
You didn't do it right. Would you rather be, if you had to choose, blind or deaf?
Deaf.
No. Okay, Netflix or Hulu? Or it could be Hulu Plus, by the way. Lose your sense of smell or lose your sense of taste, although they are connected if they weren't. Which one would it be?
Smell.
Okay. Lose your left foot or your right arm?
Foot.
Have 7 dogs or 4 kids?
4 kids.
Oh, I thought you'd pick the dogs on that
I thought
one.
dogs too. Yeah.
All right, there's my speed
All
round.
right. Da-da-da-da, speed round.
It was actually speed thief,
yes,
which
that's
it's supposed to
which
be.
is supposed
the
to be
ones on
speedy.
me, I couldn't make them speedy.
Mhm.
They were too deep and in depth. I couldn't just answer with one
Jeff,
word.
Jeff's
Jeff's were horrible.
Well, no. He gave me that same one, and yeah, that was definitely a more in-depth
you can't
one.
just
so
answer it.
no, you got to think on those ones. It
that was
was a very good.
I always throw
one,
curveballs though. You
definitely.
never know.
Yeah,
which
but
way,
then
yeah.
it's not a speed round because there needs to be an elaboration. Anyway, that's the end of mine.
All right, beautiful. Everybody, thank you very much. And if you figured out the murder mystery of Mabel and the cocaine,
Oh, God.
please tweet us
I
or
like how
Facebook
we
us
call
and
it
let us
Mabel
know.
and the cocaine, even though William was the one
William
who
was
died.
the one who died.
We don't care about
The
William.
Upscale Boutique.
Just tell us what you know
Whatever
about
happened.
Mabel.
Yeah, and now I wonder what happened to his daughter.
And I'm
I
not
don't-
interested in
oh.
Shelby or the Butlers.
No, it's
Or anyone
Mabel
else
and the cocaine.
after he
No.
died. I don't really care about anybody else.
No.
No.
But at least you guys are thinking about it.
For you, Jeff.
For you, Jeff, just for you. I'm gonna go watch another movie with subtitles.
Like Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Pause.
Rewind. Boobs frame by frame.
Boob, boob.
All right.
We're done.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Cut.
Sorry.
Sayonara.
All right.
Woo. End us off with this outro thing.
The 12A podcast is produced by 12A Productions and distributed by the 4-Eyed Radio Network. To learn more about the podcast or to see what other projects the 12A team is working on, check out 12aproductions.com.
Goddamn pie and cocaine.
This has been another great presentation of the 4-Eyed Radio Network. You can catch more shows at 4eyedradio.com.